Hey guys, welcome back to our crafty channel and welcome to our new subscribers. Thanks for being here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to apply the HTV design onto your fabric pieces for your scrunchies. So let's get going. So as you see, I have got design space open here, and this is what we use for our HTV designs to cut them out onto Cricut. So I'm going to go into the project that I started with, the Witchy scrunchie. It's the same design as the previous video on how to make the scrunchies. This design is free to use in Design Space, and when you first open up the design, you'll see it'll just be in this section itself. I've adjusted this in a previous project to fit the fabric pieces that I had cut, but I know that there's a little bit of room that I can make it slightly bigger. So I made it 3.5 previously, and along the width at the top is just over 7 inches. So I know that 3 of these pieces will make up just over 21 inches in length and will fit the fabric that I've cut out to make the scrunchie. So I'm just going to bring them all back up onto the screen here. And then I'm going to highlight all 3 pieces. And then, as you'll see, I'll just pull this down along the top there. If it was all one piece, it would be just over 21 inches in length. So I'm just going to adjust this slightly, make it a little bit bigger, and I'm going to bring that up to 21.5 inches. That last ½ inch is good for when you sew down your short edge, so then your design is not impeding onto that stitch area. And because we know the fabric piece is 4.5 inches wide, we know that these adjustments aren't going to make too big an impact on that. So I'm just going to hit make it, and it takes you into this screen here. You'll see that it is chopped it up into the 3 sections. Now, if I was using a large cutting mat, so a 24-inch cutting mat, I would be able to weld all these pieces together and cut it all in one. But as I haven't got one, I am using a 12-inch mat. So we'll cut it into 3. Now I'm just going to go and set up the machine and the materials. Okay, so I'm using a nice holographic rainbow HTV. The width of this roll is 10 inches, so I'm going to cut a 12-inch length piece. So that will fit onto the mat nicely and will cut the design with enough room on the edge. So I'm just going to attach it to the cutting mat. It's a little bit tricky because it's very sticky, and I use a brayer to smooth it down so it is stuck onto the mat nice and firmly. Now I'm just going to feed this into the machine, and then we can get ready to set up. So on the Make It screen, you want to set your material. I'm going to use holographic heat transfer. If you need to change that, you can use a browse all materials to change it to another material that you're using. So we don't have to mirror it because we don't have any writing on it, which is good. The fine point blade is in place, so we can just hit start. And the machine will set off and we'll start cutting out your design. So the first little bit, you just want to keep an eye on it just to make sure that it's cutting it, it's not lifting any material up, but with HTV it's quite good, it's got quite a good sticky back. So I'm just going to leave that there and let it do its thing. So now that's cut out, I'm just going to peel this from the mat. So you want to peel back the mat rather than the design. And you just want to cut off any excess of the edge. And then I'm going to cut it into the 3 sections so it's easier to obviously place onto your fabric piece. As I said, if you had a long mat, this would have been cut into one long design. You could just place it straight on top. I will get one of those for next time. Yeah, you then want to just weed out all the excess material, starting from the edge on the outside, peel it all the way off, and then take all the inner pieces out. If you need to refer back to the design on the computer screen to see which areas you need to weed out. But once you do a few of these, it gets quite easy to know where you need to weed. And you want to do that with all 3 pieces. So over on the ironing board, we have the fabric piece for the scrunchie. So this is 4.5 inches wide and 22 inches long. So it's just plain white, 100% cotton. So I'm just going to pop the pieces down just so you can see. And this is how they're going to obviously lay out on the fabric. But what you want to do is you want to cut along the edges of the design to make it fit a little bit neater, so that when you iron it down, you're not overlapping any of the vinyl itself, otherwise it won't stick. So you just want to cut along the edge in, nice and close to the design, being careful because these are quite sharp scissors as well. You don't want to take off any of the design that you have cut out on the machine. You don't want to end up with a star missing a leg or half a crystal or the edge cut off one of the hearts. But if you did, it wouldn't be the end of the world, as once the scrunchie is all stitched up and all fluffed out, the design's kind of all ruffled in together, so it can be quite unnoticeable. But if you're anything like me, quite a perfectionist, that would probably annoy me and I'd want to make it again. So now we've cut all the edges off. When you lay the pieces back down onto the fabric, you'll see that they fit much closer together and there's no overlap or any of the design sticking onto the plastic backing. So this is the short edge that you're going to stitch up first on your machine. So you only want to take the design pieces up to that edge, so you're not going to stitch into it. You want to iron over the fabric piece so it's nice and flat and a bit of warmth to stick the pieces on. You also want to give it a little roll over with a lint roller to take off any threads, any fluff or anything that may get caught underneath the design itself. Then when you put the design back in place, it should stick a little bit easier because the fabric is warm, and you'll be able to line it up to the edge of each other. Then you want to take your iron and you just want to smooth it across each piece in position so they're stuck down. So when I've got it down to normal speed, you'll see that just take it nice and slowly and glide the iron across the design. Not too much pressure on the first run of this because you don't want it to burn or melt the plastic if the iron, may be too hot. You'll want it on a cotton setting with no steam. And once you see that there's no sticking, you can add a little bit of pressure. You then want to flip it over and you want to run your iron over the other side. And this side, you just want to press it down, lightly move it across the design and give it a little press. Don't move the iron around too much in case it moves on the other side and you end up squashing the design. You could also use a heat press if you feel more comfortable using that instead of an iron. Just keep taking the iron over the design, nice and firm, all the way to the edges. Don't forget about those edges, because this is where you're going to peel from as well. Give it one last sweep across. And then we're going to let that cool down a little bit, because it will be very hot to the touch. And you want to peel these off when it's just slightly warm. Okay, so you just take the edge of the first part and peel it back slightly, nice and slowly. If you see that the vinyl design isn't stretching, isn't, you know, pulling away from the fabric or sticking to the plastic backing, then you should be relatively good to go. But take it easy, nice and slowly. I'm going to speed this up though, because I know that this turned out okay. So you just want to take the plastic backing off the design on all 3 pieces. So they peeled off really well, but to finish it off, we just want to make sure that they've stuck down properly. So we're going to turn it back over and we're going to run the iron over the back side again. You don't want to put the iron on the vinyl side or it will stick to the iron and it will be ruined. So when you peel that back, you'll see then that the design has got a textured effect to it where you see that it's adhered properly to the fabric and it's not going to peel away whenever you use it to make your scrunchie. And here it is. Personally, I think this stuff looks amazing. The colours are brilliant. The holographic effect is brilliant. And it's going to look fab in a scrunchie. So I'm going to run this through the machine and make the scrunchie up for you. I'll put it on full speed so you'll see it at the very end. If you like the video, hit subscribe and I'll pop a link in the description to the video on how to make a scrunchie if you haven't already seen it. So thanks very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this little how-to and I hope you have fun making your own scrunchies. Bye for now.